My name is Alistair Vance. I'm 36, a structural engineer and the designated pillar of my family. While my younger siblings chased dreams and my parents pursued early retirement, I was the one who signed the mortgage, handled the taxes, and made sure the world didn't crumble around us. I was Atlas, holding it all up. That's why, on December 31st, after a punishing week inspecting a bridge project in Montreal, all I craved was the noisy, warm chaos of our lakeside house in Kenora, Ontario. I needed the smell of my mother's mulled wine, the sound of my father's terrible guitar playing, my sister's shrieking laughter. I needed to feel the ground beneath my feet again. The taxi dropped me off at 11:23 p.m. The house was a silhouette against the starry winter sky. Not a single light burned. No festive glow from the windows, no smoke from the chimney. It was a black tooth in a jaw of snow. My engineer's mind, trained to spot failure points, screamed that something was catastrophically wrong. The dread was a cold fluid in my veins. I fumbled with my keys, the metallic scrape grotesquely loud in the silent night. Hello? My voice was swallowed by the void. Mum? Dad? Sloan? Nothing, just the groan of the old house settling against the cold. My duffel bag thumped to the floor. I moved through the dark living room, my hand finding the kitchen wall switch. The fluorescent light buzzed to life, blinding and clinical. On the heavy oak table, held down by my father's prized stone paperweight from Iceland, was a note. My mother's elegant script, my father's rushed signature, my sister Sloane's flamboyant loop. The message was a gut punch of casual cruelty. Gone to Banff for the Alpine countdown. Look after grandfather Silas. He's mostly dormant anyway. Don't wait up. Mostly dormant. Like a plant. A piece of furniture. A white-hot bolt of terror shot through me. I took the back stairs to the attic conversion 2 at a time, my boots echoing like gunshots. The whisper and the watcher. The attic room was an icebox. The small speed heater in the corner was dark and cold. In the bed, under a thin blanket, my grandfather Silas lay so still he seemed carved from wax. Grandfather? I was at his side in 3 strides. His skin was the color of old parchment, cold to the touch. His lips were blue-tinged and cracked. A single empty water glass sat just beyond his reach on the bedside table. He'd been alone here, in the freezing attic, for at least 36 hours. A fury, pure and crystalline, obliterated my shock. This wasn't neglect. It was a passive death sentence. I moved with a savage efficiency. I raced downstairs, filled a bowl with warm water and honey, grabbed a medical dropper from the first aid kit. Back in the attic, I cradled his head, squeezing drops of the sweet liquid onto his tongue. For a long minute, nothing. Then a faint, bird-like swallow. As I was gently wiping his face, his eyes flew open. They weren't clouded with confusion. They were sharp, desperate, and filled with a knowledge that chilled my blood. His hand, gnarled and strong, clamped onto my forearm. "No ambulance," he croaked, the sound like stones grinding. "They'll finish it." "Who? Dad? Mum?" I leaned in, my heart hammering. He gave the slightest, most terrifying shake of his head. With immense effort, he pointed a trembling finger toward the old steamer trunk at the foot of his bed. "Lock the door. The skylight. Cover it. Then the trunk." My mind screamed to call for help, but the intensity in his gaze held me. I deadbolted the door, dragged a heavy quilt over the skylight, plunging us to near total darkness save for my phone's flashlight. Inside the trunk, beneath folded woolen blankets, was a sleek, modern laptop, its battery fully charged. I opened it. It woke instantly to a password screen. Silas whispered a string of numbers, my own birth date reversed. The desktop was a mosaic of live security feeds. Every room in the house, the front porch, the garage, even the boathouse. Angles I'd never noticed, hidden in smoke detectors behind bookshelves. He hadn't just been watching, he'd been conducting surveillance. Folder/legacy, he breathed. I opened it. It wasn't just screenshots of text messages, it was audio files, timestamped and labeled, bank statements, and a single scanned document, the Chornville Family Ironclad Trust. I clicked the most recent audio file, from December 30th. My father's voice, relaxed, coming through a speaker. So, the specialist in Winnipeg confirmed it. Progressive supranuclear palsy. Nasty, but fast. 6 months, maybe less. He'll be fully incapacitated long before that. The trust stipulates mental competency for any changes. Our window is now. My mother's voice, crisp and practical. The Banff trip is the perfect alibi. Sloane will post plenty of cheerful photos. When Alistair finds him, it will just be a tragic, natural decline. The trust releases to the named secondary trustees, us, upon proof of his incompetence or death. Then Sloane, her voice a little slurred, probably from pre-vacation champagne. And Big Brother Alistair gets to play hero nurse until he breaks. Then he'll be too exhausted to question anything. It's perfect. A final sentence from my father, dripping with a contempt I'd never heard. Silas always said an engineer only understands what he can see and measure. Let's see him measure this. The recording ended. The silence in the dark attic was absolute. Grandfather Silas watched me, tears cutting tracks through the grime on his cheeks. "Not sick," he strained to say. "Poison. Low-dose thallium in my tonic. Mimics the palsy. They've been dosing me for months." The world didn't tilt, it inverted. This wasn't abandonment. This was premeditated murder. "The trust?" I asked, my voice a stranger's. 22 million, he whispered. "Timber, mines, this land. I am the sole gatekeeper. They need me, mentally incompetent, to seize control." He fixed me with a stare that could have drilled through steel. "Your choice, Alistair. Call the police, I die in custody, evidence lost, or help me turn the siege." He pointed a shaky finger at the laptop. "There's a number. A man in Toronto. Call him. Tell him Vigil is active. Then we begin." The shadow and the siege. The man in Toronto answered on the first ring. He didn't give a name. "The Raven is airborne," was all I said, using the phrase Silas had made me memorize. "Assets are moving. Hold the fortress. We breach at dawn," the voice replied, and the line went dead. What unfolded next was a silent, high-stakes operation. While my family thought they were skiing in Banff, their own home became a fortress under new management. A black SUV arrived within 2 hours. 2 men and a woman, all in dark, practical clothing, entered without a word. They were a private forensic team and security detail, paid for from a shadow account Silas had kept offline for decades. They swept the house. They found the tonic bottle in my parents' ensuite bathroom. They found hidden microphones, not just in Silas's room, but in mine. They found forged power of attorney documents in my father's study safe, dated to take effect upon medical certification of incapacity. The female agent, who called herself Mara, showed me a live feed on a tablet. It was from a camera they had placed on the property line. It showed a local doctor, a man who'd been our family physician for years, pulling up to the gate at 3 a.m., looking confused, then leaving after a call. He was their inside man, Mara said flatly, coming to certify the emergency decline. Your call scared him off. My family's plan had been a Rube Goldberg machine of malice, and we were systematically disassembling it. Using Silas's hidden authority, Mara's team froze every bank account, every line of credit. They triggered a clause in the trust that, upon signs of malfeasance, unleashed a forensic audit from a firm in Zurich. Then we fed the beast. At 6 a.m., I sent a carefully crafted text to the family group chat, my words dripping with exhausted despair. "It's bad. Grandfather is delirious, talking about changing the trust, leaving everything to a historical society. The doctor came and left. I don't know what to do." The response was volcanic. Panicked calls, texts demanding I stabilize him, distract him. A new audio file, captured by their own kitchen microphone, revealed their frantic change of plan. They would cut their trip short, return by private charter, and manage the situation personally. The trap was set. Their return. Their rental SUV skidded into the driveway just after noon on New Year's Day, snow flying. They tumbled out, faces etched with fake concern that morphed into genuine shock as they saw the new, keypad-operated deadbolt on the front door. Before my father could rage, the front door opened. But it wasn't me. It was Mara. And flanking her were two officers from the Ontario Provincial Police and a severe-looking woman from the Ministry of the Attorney General's Office, Adult Guardianship Division. "Roderick, Ilara, and Sloane Thorncliffe," Mara's voice carried across the crisp air. "You are under investigation for the attempted murder of Silas Thorncliffe, conspiracy to commit fraud, and elder exploitation." My father's face purpled. "This is outrageous! Where is my son? Where is my father?" From the upstairs window I had opened, Silas's voice, amplified by a small speaker, rang out strong and clear. It was the voice of the formidable timber baron he once was, not the dormant invalid they'd left behind. "Your son is with me, Roderick. Your father is very much alive, and you are finished." They were allowed inside, under watch, to witness the evidence. The hidden cameras showing their neglect. The lab report on the tonic, already expedited, showing traces of thallium. The audio recordings of their plans. The forged documents. My mother crumpled, her performance shattered into genuine, self-pitying sobs. Sloane stared at me through the window, her expression one of pure, undiluted hatred. My father tried to bluster, to threaten lawyers, but the AG's officer quietly informed him that the Zurich audit had already begun, and Interpol had been notified due to the offshore holdings involved. It wasn't a dramatic arrest, it was a systemic dismantling. They were taken to the local detachment for formal questioning. They would later be released on stringent conditions, their passports seized, every financial move monitored. The new blueprint. The legal process was a slow, grinding glacier, but with the evidence we had, it was inexorable. My parents and Sloane took a plea deal to avoid a public trial for attempted murder, guilty to aggravated assault, criminal negligence, and fraud. They were sentenced to substantial prison terms. The Thorncliffe Ironclad Trust was permanently restructured. Grandfather Silas, after a full detoxification and recovery, moved to a secured, elegant lodge in the Muskoka region with a full-time, vetted medical team. The palsy symptoms faded. They were never neurological, just toxic. I liquidated the Kenora house. The land, which had been in our family for generations, I donated to a First Nations land trust, a silent apology for histories I was only beginning to understand. I used my share of the trust, now legally and ethically mine, to found a foundation, not a charity in my name, but a network, a discreet, well-funded organization that provides resources, security, and legal firepower for other inconvenience elders, the ones whose families see a diagnosis as a financial opportunity. My name is Alistair Vance. I'm an engineer. I was trained to assess structures for points of failure, to find the cracks before they cause collapse. I just never imagined I'd have to use those skills on my own family. I identified the load-bearing lie, our loyalty, and found it was rotten to the core. So I brought the whole thing down in a controlled demolition. Now I build new structures, ones with integrity. The silence in my own life is no longer oppressive. It's the clean, clear space after a storm. I look at blueprints for shelters, not prisons. And when I visit Grandfather Silas, we sit by his fire, and we don't talk about the past. We look at the lake, at the unshakable, enduring rock, and we understand the meaning of a foundation that holds. If this story of a homecoming that revealed a hidden war for survival chilled you to the bone, then you know some families are built on fault lines. Subscribe to Clara's Revenge. Hit that notification bell because every week we descend into the hidden vaults of family secrets where the greatest threats wear familiar faces, and the only way out is to become smarter, harder, and more ruthless than those who share your blood. Your support fuels our search for these shocking truths. Subscribe now and join a community that understands the most dangerous traps are the ones waiting at home.